Hi there, welcome to live stream Yoga with Louise, tips and cues to keep you safe and strong on the mat. Power and strength are your go-to words today, not just physically, but also building mental fortitude. We're going to be playing high to the mat, focusing on standing poses. As always, play where you're comfortable, modify where you need to, and feel comfortable to pause the stream or to ease your way into child pose should you need to take a little rest at any time. You ready? Let's hit the mat. We're going to kick off today's class with 2 rounds of sun salutation. We're going to be flowing through both the A and the B series in one long sequence. Take a step to the top end of the mat so that you've got enough room to step back into a plank line. So if you're on the tall side, position yourself right up against the edge of your mat. You're going to find a comfortable samasthiti with your feet stacking just inside of hip-width distance apart. Tuck your tailbone under, pull your belly button in, stand up nice and tall in a modified mountain, Tadasana, and float your hands to prayer position in front of your heart. Take a moment to just root solidly through your feet. Find the power and the strength as you almost claw the feet into the mat. Feel yourself totally grounded and in control. Take a big breath in, floating your hands overhead and take a gentle back bend. On an exhale, fold forward, bending the knees if you need to, and step yourself back into a plank line. Pause, look for strength through the core. Drop the knees, the shins, and the feet, and work a modified chaturanga by bending the elbows, bringing it down slowly onto the belly. Peel up into a baby cobra with your bottom rib connected and the elbows tucked into the center line. And then maybe push off your palms and the tops of your feet. Find a up dog, nice and strong through the core. Try to stay on the top of your feet as you pike into the down dog, then tuck your toes under and take it into a rolling walk, keeping the knees tracking forward. Step the right leg forward, stacking underneath the hips. Replicate on the left and peel back up to your start position, hands to heart center. Big breath in, take a gentle back bend. Exhale to fold forward. Step back the left leg and then the right, finding your plank line. Pause, look for that strength. Relax the knees, the shins and the feet. Keep the elbows tucked in as you work a modified chaturanga to find your way into the belly. Then peel up into a baby cobra line, extending through the back, keeping those elbows tucked in. Stay here or push off your palms and the top of your feet and find an up dog. Nice and strong through the shoulders, nice and strong through the core. Try to pike your bum up into a down dog, pausing on the top of your feet before you tuck the toes under and then give me a rolling walk, keeping the knees tracking forward. Step up the left leg and then the right. Peel it up. Keep your feet just inside of hip-width distance apart or heel-toe totally in. Take a big breath in and on an exhale, sit back into an imaginary chair, bumping the weight back into your bum and your heels as you float the hands overhead. Fold it forward, pause. Take a big lunge step back with the right leg, maybe swaying the body weight gently back and forth and just trying to coax the groin open. Then scooch up the back leg and find the pyramid frame between both legs, trying to drop and anchor down through the bottom leg, fingertips or palms connected to the mat, or maybe hanging from the waist in more of a tabletop line. Then coax your way back into a plank line. Full chaturanga this time, trying to keep the knees off the floor if you can. Bend the elbows. As you start coming down towards the floor, slide the weight forward onto the tops of your feet, over your wrists to come into up dog. Find your down dog frame. Try to hold it or pedal it out if you need to. Try to anchor and drop down through the heels. We're going to find a warrior 2 line on the right. Soften the right leg, swing it through to the inside of the right hand, drop the back leg to 90 and windmill your arms open into a T frame, parallel to the floor, palms down with your gaze steady over the front forefinger. Tuck your back toe under, pivot, give me a modified warrior 1, Both sets of feet looking to the front of the mat. And then drop the hands down either side of the lead leg and find your plank. Chaturanga down with control. Drag the weight forward. Find your up dog. Transition to your down dog and hold. Step or take a little hop to the front of the mat, coming straight into chair. So feet together if you can. Drop down through the heels. Weight back into your bum and your heels as you float the hands overhead. Hands to heart center. Take a big breath in. Sit back into your chair. Uttanasana. Fold it forward in Uttanasana and take a moment here. Take a big lunge step back on the left. Sway the weight gently back and forth in your lunge line, Uttanasana. And then scooch up the back leg and find that pyramid, Parsvottanasana. Maybe trying to drop a little bit lower through the hands this time if you can. Coax your way back into your lunge line, back into your plank line. Chaturanga Dandasana brings you down with control. Drag the weight forward over your wrists. Set up your up dog, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Then ease your way into the down dog frame and hold. Trying to drop a little bit more weight through the heels. Open up the back chain of the legs. We're going to set up our warrior 2 on the left. Think knee to nose, swing that leg through, drop the back leg to 90. Windmill your frame open. Palms looking down into the mat. Fingertips reaching long and lengthened for the front and the back of the room. Tuck your back toe under. Float the hands overhead, coming into a modified warrior 1. Before framing the lead leg on either side and stepping back into a plank. Bend through the elbows, keep them hugged in as you bring it down. Drag the weight forward for your up dog. And then bum pikes up to the ceiling as you find your down dog. You're going to step or hop up, find a parallel line this time. Find your chair, bring it up. Sun salutation A, big breath in, float your hands overhead and bump the hips forward. Exhale to fold forward, maybe trying to keep the back of your legs straight this time. Step back on the right, step back on the left. Bend the knees, relax the shins and the feet. Bend through the elbows as you chaturanga down. Bleed from your cobra into your up dog, into your down dog, pausing on the top of your feet before you anchor down through the heels. Step up right and then left, stacking underneath the hips, peel up. Find your start position, hands to heart center. Big breath in, take the back bend. Exhale to fold forward. Step back on the left and then the right, pausing in your plank. Then release the knees, the shins and the feet and work your modified chaturanga to bleed from your cobra into your up dog, into your down dog. Step up left and then right. Try to bring it narrow this time as you peel up into mountain. Take a big breath in on an exhale. Take your seat, bumping the weight back into your bum and your heels. Fold it forward. Big lunge, step back on the right. Pause. Look for that opening through the groin. Scooch up the back leg, find your pyramid. Ease your way back into your plank line. Full chaturanga this time. Bend through the elbows, drag the weight forward over your wrists, coming to rest on your palms and the tops of your feet. Find your down dog. Big lunge step forward with the right leg to the inside of the right hand. Windmill your frame open, setting up Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. Tuck your back toe under pivot so that you're facing the front of the mat, framing the ears on either side with the hands. Then drop the hands to the floor and step back into your plank. Chaturanga Dandasana. Find your up dog. Bleed seamlessly into your down dog. Step or hop to the front of the mat, trying to bring the feet in narrow as you sit back directly in your chair, floating your hands overhead. Hands to heart center. Last time on the left. Sit back in your chair. Find Uttanasana. Fold it forward and pause, trying to get length up the back of your legs. Take a big step back on the left, find your lunge line, try to drop down a little bit lower through the pelvis. Scooch up the back leg and find your pyramid. Pause. Ease your way from here back into plank. Full chaturanga brings you down with control, flowing from your up dog into your down dog. Big lunge step forward with the left leg to the inside of the left hand. Drop the back leg to 90. Windmill your frame open and set up warrior two. Then tuck your back toe under, pivot through the torso. Float the hands overhead as you come into a low lunge. Drop the hands either side of the lead leg and set up your flank. Last chaturanga. Find your up dog. Bleed seamlessly into your down dog. Step or hop to the front of the mat. Try and bring it in narrow. Sit back into your chair. Weight into your bum and your heels as you find Uttanasana. Hands to heart center. Stand up nice and tall. Make sure the feet are heel-toed in and drop the arms long and lengthened at your side in a modified mountain. Then start making the left fingertips heavy to the floor. Just take a little off-center stretch on the exhale. Inhale to bring it back. Exhale to drop to the right. Keep squeezing those inner thighs together and send the energy up from your pelvic floor. Come back to side one. Drop down through the fingertips and then reach up as if you wanted to come up to shoulder height. Float the arm back down and repeat on the right. Drop down through the right fingertips and then float the arm up to about shoulder height. Float back down. One more iteration. Drop down through the left fingertips. Float the arm up and then arc and frame your right arm overhead before you retrace your steps back to mountain. Drop down through the right fingertips, then float the arm up to about shoulder height, arc and frame with the left arm. Retrace your steps back to mountain. You're going to take a big step back with the left leg and set up a warrior one. Angle your back foot in slightly at 45 and bend the lead leg. Both sets of your hip bones should be looking to the front of the room. Make sure you've got knee over ankle on the lead leg and look to the front of the room, trying to frame your ears on either side with your arms. Pause here, looking for strength in the pose. Virabhadrasana 1, warrior 1. From here, we're going to ease our way into a warrior 3 line, and you can use your back toes for support as you drop the arms at your side. Kick off the back leg, floating up into a tabletop line. Floating the arms behind you as you try to square up through the shoulders and the hips. Stay here with the arms at your side or find your way into a fisted line, bringing the two palms together and trying to knuckle the wall behind you. Keep the fisted line as you start straightening up and come into a small tree line, placing the sole of the foot on the inseam of the left leg. Let's keep it small, below the knee line today. Pause here, looking for control in the movement. Keeping your hands fisted, you're going to take a big warrior 2-like step back on the back leg. Drop your fisted hands between your bum cheek and arc slightly through the spine to look up towards the ceiling as you find an arching warrior. Then take a big breath in through those lungs. And on an exhale, fold forward into humble warrior, bowing your head to the inside of your lead leg. Keep your belly button softly pulled in to center. As you peel back up, uninterlace the hands, tuck your back toe under, and come into a deep lunge line. Try to open up your arms into a T-frame. Pretend you're a little aeroplane. Dip your wing on the left. Pause. Come back to center. Dip your wing on the right. Come back to center. Dip your wing on the left and then arc and frame on the right. Come back to center. Dip your wing on the right. Arc and frame on the left. Come back to center. Push off the back leg. Step to the top of the mat. Feet in that narrow stance. We're going to take a big step back with the right leg. Set up your warrior one line, leading with the left leg in front. Back toes are slightly tucked under. Both sets of hip bones are looking to the front of the room, and you floated your hands overhead. Look for the strength, look for the power. Find your warrior. Then launch off the back leg. Use the toes if you need to push off the mat. Find a tabletop line, arms floating long and lengthened at your side. Or see if you can start bringing the two palms together, fisting your hands and holding your warrior three. Then big step back. Back leg now open at 90 as you find your arching warrior, dropping your knuckles heavy to the mat, arcing through the spine and gently peeking up to the ceiling. When you're ready, take a bow on an exhale, dropping your head to the inseam of the lead leg. Don't lean everything forward, keep anchoring through your back leg. Peel back up, uninterlace the hands, tuck your back toes under and find a lunge line. Float your hands into T. Dip your aeroplane wing on the right, pause. Inhale to bring it back. Dip your aeroplane wing on the left. Bring it back to center. Drop on side one, arc and frame with the other arm. Bring it back to neutral. Dip your wing on the left, arc and frame on the right. Find your T-frame, maybe placing your hands on the mat to push off the back leg, come into a gentle forward fold, trying to keep those feet nice and narrow. Peel back up, make sure your feet are flush against the midline of the body. Find your tall mountain. Make the left fingertips heavy as you just take a little stretch off center to the left. Float back to the midline and repeat on the right. Peel back to center. Make your left fingertips heavy. Float the arm up to about shoulder height and then bleed back down to repeat on the right. Drop down and then reach through that arm. One more iteration. Drop down on the left, reach the arm up, arc and frame on the right. Let's try that on the other side. Make the right fingertips heavy. Float the arm up, arc and frame on the other side. Come back to center, find your mountain first. We're going to step the left leg back and set up a warrior two frame. So as you step the left leg back, windmill the arms open and open up that back leg at 90 so that your hips are now looking to the side of the room, not to the front of the mat. Arms are T-framed. Watch that you're not dropping the backhand and keep your gaze steady over the front forefinger. Look for the strength in your standing pose. Let's reverse the warrior. Invert the front hand. Drop the backhand to your back leg, maybe wrapping around the inner thigh, and then think of just gently framing your head and looking up to the palm with your lead arm. Keep a softness in that lead arm and make sure you haven't lost the bend in the lead leg. Then find your way into a modified side angle by making your lead elbow heavy, dropping it to the lead leg. But don't lean all your weight in, almost push off and lengthen through your spine, and then bring the other arm flush against your ear, trying to give me a long line through your back heel, leg, rib cage, and the meridian of the arm. Then rotate your side angle. Rotate through the trunk, tuck the back toes under, plant the left hand firmly underneath the left shoulder, and open up into a little T-frame. Either stay here or we're going to play with a modified side plank. Focus on your front leg. Maybe slide it back slightly. Knife edge your bottom leg. And then stay here, looking for length and strength. Or focus on your extended bottom leg. Bend the knee and tuck the top elbow and knee together along the midline of the body. And then open back up into T. Shooting for maybe 5 repetitions. Tucking the top elbow and the bottom knee towards the midline of the body to maybe tap. Then step the lead leg up. Windmill your frame open and find your way back into your original warrior 2. Take a big step up to the front of the mat. Look for stillness in mountain before we repeat the sequence on the other side. Take a big lunge step back on the right. Open up the back foot to 90. Set up your warrior 2 line. Look for strength in the pose as you settle in. Invert the front hand. Drop the back hand to your back leg. Wrap around. Find your reverse warrior, Parivarta Virabhadrasana. Then start dropping the lead elbow to the lead leg. Bring the other arm flush against your ear and look for that length in the body as you set up a side angle. Stay here or begin rotating your angle, tucking the back toes under, dropping the right hand underneath the right shoulder and taking a soft pivot twist in the opposite direction, opening up the arms into T. Stay here in your rotated side angle, or maybe elect to play in the side plank. Focus on your front leg. Slide the foot back slightly so that it's closer towards your hip line. Then think of gently knife edging your bottom leg. Stay here, looking for strength, or begin to play. Start thinking of bringing the bottom knee and the top elbow together to tap, and then open back up. Maybe 5 little taps. And then you're going to find your way from here back into warrior 2. Step the lead leg up. Start pivoting through your body. Find warrior 2. Big step up to the top of the mat. Find mountain. Drop the arms long and heavy at your side. Make your fingertips heavy off center to the left. Bring it back to center. Heavy off center to the right. Bring it back. Heavy off center to the left. And then reach or float the arm up before bleeding your way back down. Drop on the right. Float up and then back down. Drop on the left. Float the arm up. Arc and frame with the other arm. Lead your way back. Make the right arm heavy. Float the arm up. Arc and frame on the left to float back. From here, we're going to set up a triangle on the right. Step the left leg back, and as you step back, think of coming back almost into your warrior 1-like position with the back toes tucked under, and straighten up both legs, opening up your arms into T. Wiggle the legs maybe a little bit further apart and either give me a wide or a narrow stance. Pretend somebody's pulling you forward, pop out the back hip and begin hinging forward to place your back of the right hand on the inseam of the leg, push and resist. Or maybe if your body is nice and open, you can drop the fingertips or the palm to the mat, or you could even place a block underneath the hand for support. Stay here in your open triangle, Utthita Trikonasana, or bring that top arm closer to your ear. Look for length from the back hip through the rib cage, through the arm. If you want to play, start twisting through the body and tuck your left hand on the outside of the right foot, or maybe holding on to the shin bone or the calf, or maybe using the block on the outside of the leg. Then drop both hands either side of the lead leg, tuck the back toe under, wiggle the legs as wide as you can and start playing with a pyramid. bringing the front toes off the mat, and then anchoring the front toes and bringing the back heel off the mat as you sway gently back and forth. If your feet are very wide apart, you might find it almost impossible to totally anchor through the back leg. That's okay. We're working for the stretch. Then keeping the legs as wide as possible, hold your pyramid frame. Launch off the back leg, thinking of coming into a standing split, and then soften both knees and tap the knee of the back leg to the calf of the lead leg, maybe playing with that movement 5 times dynamically. Hold both legs bent, tap knee to calf, then step both legs together, ragdoll style, peel up, bringing your head up last. Take a big step back with the right leg, angling the back foot in, windmilling your arms open and making sure both legs are extended. Find your triangle on the left. Somebody's pulling your lead arm forward. Begin hinging and set up your first triangle line, either pressing the back of your hand to the inseam of your leg or dropping your fingertips or your palm to the mat. Look for length, keep lengthening through that top arm. Then maybe extend your triangle. Bring the top arm closer to your ear, reaching with the fingertips as if you wanted to open up a little bit more through the rib cage. Then start rotating your trunk. Try to tuck opposite hand to the outside of the lead leg, maybe coming into a gentle T-frame or holding on to your calf or your shin. Pause here. We're going to find our way from here into that wide pyramid. Frame the lead leg on either side and tuck the back toe under, taking the stance as wide as you can. Rock the weight forward, coming onto the toes of the back leg and anchoring through the front leg. Then rocking the weight into the back heel and floating the toes of the front leg off the mat. Then begin playing dynamically between the two. Then hold your pyramid frame, trying to anchor down or bear down as best you can through both legs. You're going to take a launch step up, thinking of coming into a standing split and floating the right leg behind you. Stay or play, bending both knees, tapping the knee of the back leg to the calf of the lead leg, then playing dynamically between the standing split and that little calf tap. Keep your belly button firmly pulled into center. Hold your tap on the last one. Then step it up. Try and have your feet as narrow as you can. So big toes and ankles together and ragdoll style peel up, bringing your head up last. Just give your blood pressure a chance to stabilize. Find your narrow mountain. Exhale to make your left fingertips heavy to the floor. Inhale to come back. Make your right fingertips heavy to the floor. Bring it back. Keep squeezing those inner thighs together. Left fingertips heavy. Float the arm up to about shoulder height and bleed back down. Make the right fingertips heavy. Float the arm up and bleed back down. One more time. Left arm heavy. Float the arm up, hold the frame, arc and frame on the other side. Let's bleed back down. Right fingertips heavy. Float the right arm up, arc and frame on the left. Bring it back. Preferably keeping that narrow stance or opening up the feet to hip width distance apart. We're going to come into a little chair sequence. Float your hands to prayer in front of your heart. Take a big breath in and on an exhale, bump the weight back into your bum and your heels and pause here. Finding Uttanasana. Make sure you're not throwing the weight forward so your knees are not tracking over your toes. Stay here or rotate to the right, trying to tuck your left elbow to the outside of the right knee. Pause here. Take a big lunge, step back. With the left leg, you can place your fingertips on the mat if you need to, if your balance is off and you need a little bit of an assist. Stay here or open up the arms into T, dropping one arm down to the floor, the other arm up to the ceiling. If you're feeling comfortable here and you'd like to try a little bind, take the bottom arm, feed it through, bringing it as close to your perineum as you can. Float the other arm behind you and see if you can bring the hands together, maybe in a little bear grip or holding opposite hand to wrist, working a modified rotated side angle. Then when you're ready, gently unbind. Find your way into a lunge line, wiggling your back foot further away and trying to drop your pelvis as low to the floor as you can, but making sure you've got knee over ankle on the lead leg. Pause here, just trying to make that pelvis nice and heavy to the floor. And then relax the back knee, keep the toes tucked under. Start bumping your hips back, extend the front leg, toes come up off the mat, round out in a little monkey guard stretch, maybe keeping both hands on the mat. Or if your inner thigh and your core connection is strong, you can reach with one hand or both hands for the undercarriage of your lead leg, almost pulling the ball of your foot and the toes back and holding the stretch here. Breathing nice and deeply into the back of your ribs and almost hollowing out your belly. Then place both sets of fingertips on the mat. Come back into your gentle lunge line. Launch off the back leg and step forward into Uttanasana, bending and extending softly through the legs. Then ragdoll style, peel up. Make sure you haven't lost your narrow stance through the feet. Find your way back into Tadasana, mountain, rooting through your feet, squeezing the two inner thighs together and sending the energy up from your pelvic floor. Take a big breath in to prepare. On the exhale, find your chin, bump your weight back into your bum and your heels as you gently float the arms overhead, or just keep your prayer hands in front. Stay here or rotate your chair. Parshva Utkatasana. Twist gently to the left, trying to anchor your right elbow to the outside of your left knee. Keeping your hands where they are or dropping them to the floor, you're going to take a big step back with your right leg and then come back into position if you did use the hands on the floor for support. Stay here or open up into T. If this feels good and your inner pretzel is screaming for some playtime, focus on the bottom arm. Reach for the arm, bring it in as close as you can. Almost give it a little tug so that you're releasing through the shoulder, and then see if you can come to a bind underneath the leg. Keep working your rotated side angle wherever you decide to play. From your rotated side angle, you're going to find your way back into a deep lunge line, trying to keep the back knee off or relaxing it to the mat if you need support. Wiggle the back leg further apart and just try to drop as low as you can through the pelvis towards the floor. So feel that opening happening through the groin. Pause. When you're ready, you're going to find your way into your little hamstring stretch. Ardha Hanumanasana. Relax the back knee. Keep the toes tucked under today. Then start bumping your hips back. Begin extending the front leg. Think of hollowing out almost into a cat stretch. So think of growing the back of your ribs towards the ceiling. Either pushing off your fingertips or your flat palms. Or if you're feeling adventurous, start thinking of drawing up along the inseam of your legs. Pull up really strongly from the pelvic floor. See if you can use one or both hands to find the undercarriage of your foot and then almost hug or pull the ball of your foot and the toes back. Pause here. Looking for strength, looking for control. Find your way from here back into your lunge line. Launch off the back leg, stepping to the front of your mat. to bend and extend softly through the legs, trying to keep your stance on the legs narrow with the big toes and the ankles together, or take it further apart if you need to. Ragdoll style, peel up. Bring your head up last, orient your body first, and when you're ready, think of finding Tadasana, squeezing those inner thighs together. Make the left arm heavy to the floor. Inhale to bring it back. Make the right arm heavy to the floor. Bring it back. Make the left arm heavy. Float the left arm up. And then bleed back down. Make the right arm heavy. Float it up. Bleed back down. Make the left arm heavy. Float it up. Arc and frame with the other arm. Bleed your way back. Make the right arm heavy. Float it up. Arc and frame with the left. Bring it back. Stand up nice and tall, and on an exhale, fold forward into Uttanasana, brushing your hands down the top of your thighs, either stopping in table with the hands still connected to the thighs, or bleed your hands all the way down to the mat, maybe fingertips or palms connected to the mat. Pause here, trying to lengthen and extend as much as you can through the back of your legs. Stepping back into the down dog frame from here. So as you step back, think of piking your bum up to the ceiling. Find your frame. Make the back of your heels as heavy as you can to the floor, shooting for an awesome stretch up the front and the back chain of the body. Stay here or float into three-legged dog by softening the right knee, kicking up the right leg behind you, and at first keep square through the shoulders and the hips. Stay or play. Let's arch the dog on the right. Bend the right knee, point the right toes up to the ceiling. Open up the right knee to the side of the room, dropping the foot to the left. Start rotating through the hips and arc to look over the left shoulder as if looking for that hanging scorpion tail of a foot. Keep pulling the belly button in towards your navel. So think navel to spine. Stay here or find Wild Thing by taking that hanging foot, dropping it to the floor behind you, pivoting through the hips, floating your hips up to the ceiling, coming into an extended tabletop, three-legged table, and maybe looking up to the palm of the top hand. Pause here, looking for control in your movement first, before retracing your steps back. Think down dog, and then think knee to hip on the right, setting up a pigeon line, knee and ankle in a straight line, or tucking in closer to the perineum as you relax the back knee, shin, and foot. Slide, walk, or creep the back leg away and give me a high pigeon line. So I want you to make sure that the lead leg, knee, is either in line with your hip or slightly wider so that you're not bearing down and hanging on your right bum bone. I want your right bum off the mat. And if you're finding it hard to stabilize, take a block, take the knife edge portion of the block and tuck it underneath your bum on the right, just leaning gently and anchoring where the crease of your bum is. Find your high pigeon line. And then open up the arms into a little cactus frame alongside your body. Think goddess. Stay here or play dynamically, floating the arms overhead, tapping them and then coming back into cactus. Maybe 5 iterations. Looking for that energy, that control through the inner thighs and the core to hold your frame nice and high. Then maybe dropping your fingertips to the mat, bending, the knee of the back leg, look over. You're going to reach same hand to same foot and come to a gentle bind here, maybe just bringing that heel in and see if you can tap the heel to the back of your bum, as you did in frog. So you can take your hand, make a little L frame between your index finger and the thumb, try to hook over the front of your foot and just gently push down. So think of this as a pigeon frog, yeah? Ease your way from here gently back to the mat. Plant your hands on the mat and then ease your way into your down dog frame. As you come into down dog, maybe just give me a soft little rotational movement through the knees and the hips in Svananda just to bring blood supply back. And then find your down dog frame and hold it. We're going to repeat that little sequence on the other side. Hold your down dog frame for a second or two, looking for strength. Then set up your three-legged dog on the left, kicking up the left leg behind you, nice and square through the shoulders and the hips at first. If you're ready to play, arch the dog. Bend the left knee, point the left toes up to the ceiling. Then open up the left knee to the side of the room, drop the foot to the right, and look over that right shoulder as if you were looking for that hanging foot behind you. Pause. Keep thinking navel to spine. Then set up wild thing, Uttanasana. Take that hanging foot, drop it to the floor behind you. Start pivoting through the body. Hips are piped up nice and high to the ceiling. Find your three-legged table. And maybe look to the palm of the hand that's overhead. Bleed your way back here into a down dog frame and immediately start setting up your pigeon. Think knee to nose. Find the angle on the lead leg that works for you. Relax it to the mat. Wiggle around. Make sure that you're even through the shoulders and the hips, using the block underneath your hip if you need a little bit of support on the left. Make sure you're not collapsing your frame. Try to keep it as high as you can. Set up your cactus frame. Stay or play, tapping the index finger and the thumb together overhead, and then coming back into cactus and using the elbow points with a little bit of resistance so that you're really working those arms isometrically. Then hold your cactus frame or drop your fingertips to the mat and look over that back shoulder for that leg that's draped on the mat behind you. Bend the knee, toes looking up to the ceiling. Make an L shape with your index finger and thumb. Try to hook that L frame around the front of your foot. Push down on the front of the foot to bring that heel into your bum. Try not to tense the back leg. Soften that whole back thigh so your quad is soft, your glutes are soft, your hamstring is soft. Then gently unbind. Find your way back into down dog from here. Take a little soft rotational movement through the knees and the hips in Svananda. Then step or hop to the front of the mat, trying to come into a narrow mountain. Find a soft forward fold, pause. Make sure you bring your crown up last. Just give your blood pressure a chance to stabilize as you come back into your standing frame. Find mountain, squeeze the inner thighs together, tuck the tailbone under, pull the belly button in. Make your left fingertips heavy and take a stretch off center. Inhale to come back. Exhale to drop the right fingertips. Inhale to come back. Drop the left fingertips. Then float the arm up in line with your shoulder and bleed back down. Just make it a beautiful fluid movement. Drop down on the right. Float the arm up and back down. Last iteration. Drop down on the left. Float the arm up. Hold it in position. Arc and frame on the other side. Bleed back down. Make your right fingertips heavy. Float the arm up. Hold it in position. Arc and frame on the left. Lead your way back. And for the next series, you're either going to play freestyle with the hands, or you can take a hand towel or a strap and loop it over the foot. We're going to come into a little standing balancing series. Stand up nice and tall in your mountain. You're going to think knee to nose on the right, taking your middle index finger and thumb and giving me a little big toe lock. So your hands almost look like a little crab pincer. You're going to hold on to the big toe and you're going to extend the right leg out. If you find this difficult, take a hand towel, a strap or a belt, loop it around your foot and use your prop to help support your frame. On the left, you just got the arm long and heavy, or you can brace on your hip, or you can T-frame the arm, perhaps even leaning into a piece of furniture if you need to. Find your A-line, holding it for at least maybe 10 soft counts. And then perhaps trying the B-line by opening up the leg to the side of the room. If your balance is off, I usually find that a T-frame, either palm up or palm down, helps quite a bit. Then see if you can bleed your leg back to the center line. Try to cross your hands at the wrist, maybe holding onto the undercarriage of the foot with both hands if you can. And then keep holding opposite hand to foot and float the right arm behind you, almost making an arrow-like line, either keeping your gaze front, side, or floating your eyes to peek to the mat behind you. Then use this frame to set up a seated figure four. Start bending the lead leg. Drop your ankle to the other thigh. Bring your hands to prayer and bump the weight back into your bum and your heels, using active hands, active palms, active elbows. Come back into a narrow mountain. Shake the legs up. Let's try that on the other side. Reaching for your strap if you did drop it when you came into the chair position. Step into the strap and find your A-line. Uttita Hasta Padangusthasana A. Standing hand to big toe A. Try to give me a long line and think of the stack of your body. Almost think of it as a totem pole. Think shoulders over hips, hips over knee, knee over ankle. Hold the A-line and then perhaps try the B-line. Opening up the leg to the side of the room. Holding for a few counts on each. Then float the leg back into the A-line. Try to wrap both hands around the undercarriage of your foot. Then hold opposite hand to foot. Float the left arm behind you. Gaze either forward or maybe to the side or maybe behind you. Then ease your way from here into a figure four. Drop the strap if you did have the strap. Bend the lead leg. Think ankle of the lead leg resting on your stabilizing leg. Bump the weight back into your bum and your heels. Float your hands into an active prayer. Pushing into the palms, floating your elbows wide. Step the two legs together. Shake them out. And then drop the arms at your side, almost in a Shavasana-like position with the palms open. Arms at about 45. Close your eyes, take your focus inward if you can. Preferably feet narrow, big toes and ankles touching. Rooting through your feet, squeezing the energy of the inner thighs together and thinking of allowing the energy to actively flow up from your pelvic floor all the way to your crown, washing through all 9 chakras, from the pelvic floor, through the reproductive organs, through the belly center, through the heart center, through the throat center, the third eye between your eyebrows, all the way to the crown chakra at the very top of your head. Then float your hands to prayer in front of your heart and end off your practice for today. Namaste to you. Thank you so much for coming out and joining me today. I really do hope that you enjoyed today's class. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed, shoot me your comments, and be ready for Pilates on the mat tomorrow. Till then, keep it light.